Now, your favorite music apps are available on Contour from Cox. Go from watching a musical to listening to your favorite music. Enjoy a country western and then a country jam. Go from a love story to love songs. Or go from action flicks to something that makes you feel like an action hero. Now with Contour from Cox.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. you'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage meant. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolf.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie, and I'm proud of the life I have, surrounded by military and aware just how big the world really is. I have a unique perspective on life and the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
Well, hello, world. I am Rick Robinson. That's right. I am not Jessica Sanders. I am not Jessie from Jessie's POV. We have, however, invaded her studio for the night. We are live right here on KLRNradio.com. Jessie is away chasing down a story, so we have basically co-opted her airtime. I'm hijacking her show. We're taking it over. Don't worry, it'll still be international. We're going to do things a bit different, though. I'm going to do international kind of hot takes. Because I don't typically do international, and I've only had about a week to prep for the idea of doing this show. So it's not going to be the usual stuff that you get with Jess. I hope you still enjoy it. You might as well stay tuned anyway, because as soon as this is over, we will right straight into Jen and Rick, and then I will finish off the night on America Off the Rails, my solo show. So that's right. For those of you that are paying attention to the clock, that means you have to put up with me for the next 3 hours. Some of you right now are rolling your eyes. That's not nice. Stop it. So anyway, for those of you who may not know much about me, we're going to start off the show kind of giving a bit of a background. I am actually the programming director here at KLRMradio.com. I've actually been programming director on K98 Talk in the past as well. I am an occasional columnist on American Action News. I do 6 shows, if you count all the ones that I produce. I co-host Jen and Rick, which you'll hear tonight in just a little bit. I do America Off the Rails. Jen and Rick is Tuesdays and Thursdays. America Off the Rails is Monday through Thursday. And then I do Robinson and Wright on Friday nights with Dan Wright. And then, of course, you can hear me behind the scenes on shows like the Conservative Convention Radio Show, Jesse's Coffee Shop, Foo Bar over on the Spark Radio Network, the Michael Loftus Show, his podcast. I actually produced that one, which is kind of where I was given the moniker Kung Fu Rick. So for those of you that are like trying to find me on Twitter and you're like, what is up with it, dude? He's old and we can tell that from the pictures, but he calls himself Kung Fu Rick. Dude, when a comedian gives you a nickname, you roll with it. I'm just saying. All right, so that's kind of enough about me. We do have lots of stuff we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to do things a little bit differently. I know Jess usually takes a really long break there in the middle. We're going to kind of split the breaks up a bit, because on my show I'm used to taking more breaks, so we're going to probably take a break at about 20 after, then we'll take another one towards bottom of the hour, and then probably one last one to round things out. Breaks will not exceed 4 minutes for the middle of the hour. The rest of them will be kind of short, 2-3 minutes, just to give you guys an idea of what's going to be going on. So the first story that I thought was absolutely hilarious was there is actually, and I'm going to save the country some embarrassment. I'm not going to mention them by name, but there is an Eastern European company that has now decided that during testing hours, all internet will be shut down to keep children from being able to cheat on their test. Now you laugh, but we've all been there. I mean, I catch myself doing it all the time. If I don't know the answer to a question, instead of, going to, look it up somewhere else, I'm usually, first thing I do is I hop onto Google's. We have a running joke around the station. We talk about our search engine prowess as Google Fu. Kind of funny since I have the nickname Kung Fu Rick. I honestly think that's probably why Michael gave it to me, because my Google Fu is awesome sauce. No, I'm just playing. I think it is, but I'm biased. But that story really caught my attention because that just tells you exactly how weird everything has gotten. When you have an entire country that has decided that they are going to shut down internet during testing hours because too many kids are cheating on their tests. I remember when you couldn't have a calculator in your pocket at school without risking being suspended. Now they have computers in their pockets. That's the part that I don't think anybody's thought about when we start talking about things like this. You have, so you can't see it because I don't have the webcam up. You're going to thank me later if you haven't seen my picture. Go look. But here's the thing. Right now I'm holding up my cell phone. There is more computing power in this cell phone than put men on the moon. And kids have these in their pockets all day, every day now. So we're getting to the point, and I'm just as bad. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. When I was younger, I had nearly perfect recall of anything I ever read. Now that I don't have to remember anything, I can't even remember where I put my car keys. And it's like, oh, it's not a big deal if I forget it. I'll just look it up on Google. Now, I still have really good reading retention, but it's not 100% or 99% like it was. And I'm not saying that to brag. It's just that's always how I was. I mean, from third grade, I was reading at a college level. And I had 99% retention. Sometimes 100%, just depending on whether or not I actually cared about what I was reading about. But, so I understand what the schools are struggling with because now we have many computers in our pockets. And they're like, how do we cope with this? Because we don't know if the kids are actually taking the tests or if they're just using Google or whatever the Eastern European equivalent of Google is. I don't know. Do they have Google in Eastern Europe? I guess they do. It's probably a worldwide. So that was story number one. I thought we'd kind of open with something a little weird. This one I actually wanted to talk about because this one intrigues me. This is from ABC News. Eurozone gets deal to pave way to end Greece's bailout. So for those of you who haven't listened to any of my other shows, we've been talking for a while now about how America is headed to a Greece-style demise if we don't change something. So I thought we would talk about this one tonight. Eurozone nations agreed on the final elements of a plan to get Greece out of its 8-year bailout program and make its massive debt more manageable. The finance ministers of the 19 nations took day-long talks into Friday morning and reached a surprisingly hard-fought compromise, which had seemed within easy reach for the past few days. The ministers needed to finalize a deal between Greece and its international creditors that would allow it to safely emerge from its third and final bailout program on August 20th and face the markets again. Greek debt is sustainable going forward, said Eurogroup President Mario Centeno. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said going into the meeting that we have to recognize that Greece has really made the job. They have fulfilled their commitments. Bad translation, maybe? Yet, despite those good vibes, the deal to keep Greece's debt manageable long remained elusive on Thursday. It took a bit longer than we expected, but ended in a very good way. Greek Finance Minister I'm not even going to try to say that last name, said, I think it's the end of the Greek crisis, a historic moment. Centeno said that under the deal, Greece could delay back repayment on billions in loans by 10 years, giving it a financial breather, while stricter deadlines could have further choked the economy over the next decade. It also gets another injection of 15 billion euros. Hey, Greece, can you funnel some of that over this way? I'm just saying. I just need half a million euros. Come on. You guys can funnel some over here, right? Hashtag asking for a friend. Greece had already gotten some 275 billion euros in financial support from its international creditors over the past 8 years. Over those years, Greece twice got perilously close to being kicked out of the Eurogroup, EU Commissioner Pierre Moscovici said. Greece has needed massive financial aid from Eurozone nations and international creditors to survive financially for the past 8 years. In return, it had to commit to stringent budget austerity programs that hurt the finances of ordinary Greeks and caused a major rift between Athens and many Euro nations. So I don't know about you guys. I mean, granted, this is coming from ABC News, and for those of you who, I spend most of my time doing American national politics. I don't trust ABC News any further than I could throw them. While I think this might be at least short-term good news for Greece, I'm not exactly sure it's going to turn out the way they hope. I think this will help the markets around the rest of the world, because one of the things that's been holding the markets down is everybody's been afraid that Greece was going to burst into flames. So I think they're making a smart move for the short term, for the world economy. Because here's the thing. Nobody talks about this, and this is the perfect show for me to talk about this. So everybody wonders why, since North Korea, because, you remember the Korean War. So World War I, World War II, we went all in, dude. We, bombed the heck out of everybody. We killed people. We broke things. We did whatever the army and the rest of the armed forces had to do to win those wars. Something drastically changed between World War II and the war in Korea, though. Everybody asks me what it was. So what happened after Nagasaki and Hiroshima is everybody started figuring out that there's this concept called mutually assured destruction, because now that America had nuclear weapons, when other people came up with nuclear weapons, we were going to have this kind of brinksmanship thing, but nobody was really going to be the one to push the button, because, if you did, you might kill the other side, but they were going to kill you just as easily. So somebody came up with this great idea, that was air quotes and sarcasm tone, in case you missed it, of intermingling all of the world's economies, because they started coming up with the concept of mutually assured economic destruction. What they did was, whether we want to admit it or not, we're already basically in a one world order. We have banking systems that are regulated by world groups. We have governing bodies like the UN that have a lot more power than they should. And I'm not trying to sound like Alex Jones, I'm just being honest, because one of the things that nobody talks about is between the end of World War II and the beginning of the Korean War, which wasn't that much time, there was a concept enacted called mutually assured economic destruction. What they did was they started intermingling the world's economies between all the countries like a spider web. So the reason they did this is because there was no longer the capacity to kill people and break things, because if we went all in and we completely destroyed a country, then eventually it would have repercussions, ripples, and all kinds of issues with everybody else's economies, because they're all interconnected now. So this is why this becomes important. This is why, when everybody's been like, oh my God, why are they doing all this for Greece? They've been handing them money. We don't understand why they're doing it. Just let them fall down and pick themselves back up. It's also another reason why we had all these issues here in America when the banks tried to collapse and the car industries tried to collapse and everything else. And everybody's like, why are you handing out all this money? Just let them fail. We can't. Because if our economy goes under, so does everybody else's. If Greece's economy goes under, so does everybody else's. Eventually it will happen. They have designed it that way on purpose, and nobody talks about it. Because it doesn't fit the narrative. Because nobody wants to talk about the fact that there's a reason why we haven't actually won an engagement since World War II. Think about it. We've been in a Cold War with North Korea since the 50s. We've been in a Cold War with Russia since World War II up until recently. Some people would say that we're still in a Cold War with Russia to an extent, and I honestly agree. That's one of the reasons why I make fun of the Democrats now that are all here in America talking about, oh my God, the Russians. Dude, we tried to talk to you about the Russians in 2008. You had nothing. Go away. Barack Obama's one-liner was the 1980s called, they want their foreign policy back, Mr. Romney. That great one-liner. Got him lots of laughs. Except now here we are with the left all screeching and yelling and screaming about Russia. I firmly believe that the Cold War with Russia never stopped. And I've talked about that when I sat in with Jess on a previous show. So I'm not really going to go into it again. But I think this thing with Greece could be a good thing. I hope it will be a good thing. I think it will help. I think it will help bolster the rest of the economy. I know that right now the world is kind of watching what happens with us, because we have what all the media is calling a looming trade war, with Donald Trump suddenly enacting tariffs among the G6 plus 1, or 6 versus 1 is what I like to call it. But we will have to see what he actually does with those tariffs. All right, so believe it or not, we're already up against the first break. This is Jess's POV. I am Rick Robinson. No, I am not Jess. For those of you tuning in right now, I promise there are no hormones involved. She will be back. She's out chasing a story. We'll be right back with you, too. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna.
son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Get down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay.
Welcome back, folks. I am Rick Robinson, sitting in for Jessica Sanders on Jessie's POV. We are live right now on KLRMradio.com. We have been talking about the Greece bailout and the fact that it seems like maybe the Europeans have that figured out. So we're going to change topics because I have a laundry list of topics because I wasn't sure how much content I could fit into 60 minutes when I'm talking about stuff that I'm not really used to talking about. So this one's going to kind of touch home, but it's kind of important, and it's this is from the AP. Man smuggled anti-submarine warfare devices to China. Authorities say a Chinese national has been charged with conspiring with a Chinese military research institute to illegally export U.S. goods used in anti-submarine warfare to China. Federal prosecutors says 41-year-old Sharon Kin, who lives in Wellesley, Massachusetts, sorry, I almost said that wrong, was arrested Thursday. He's charged with visa fraud and conspiring to violate U.S. export regulations. Court documents say Quinn illegally exported nearly 80 devices used to detect and monitor sound underwater to a Chinese military research institute affiliated with the People's Liberation Army. The document says Ken imported the goods to Northwestern Polytechnical University by lying to the U.S. supplier and concealing the true recipient. Such exports are prohibited without a license. Ken is to appear in Boston federal court Friday. It wasn't immediately clear whether he has an attorney. So this is part of another thing that I've been talking about now for decades. We had, and I'm sure the same thing happened under Barack Obama, but under Bill Clinton, we had some of the worst relations with China that we've ever had, because we handed them ICBM technology. We have done all kinds of things that we never should have done, and this is another instance where somebody basically decided that they knew better what we needed with our equipment than we did. So basically, there's a Chinese national who basically said, "Oh, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to spy from my home country, China." And everybody wonders why we are cracking down on our borders. Now, I know I'm taking it national, but I promise we won't be here long. But again, this proves my point. You know, everybody wonders why we're doing the things that we're doing right now when we're limiting points of ingress and egress. We're paying closer attention to who's actually coming into those points. We're limiting the number of people that can come in from those points. This is why, because we're finding things like this. Anyway, I mainly wanted to touch on that because it was talking about China. Donald Trump, however, has had kind of an interesting relationship with China. One of the things that really kind of floored me was the first time that Donald Trump met with Xi Jinping. And he was sitting across a table from him, telling him that he needed his help with North Korea. And Ping kept saying, not so much. And Donald Trump, while they're talking, is lobbing cruise missiles into an area to just prove the point that if he has to, he'll do it alone. So I think there's been a bit of a reset with China. I think there's been a reset with a lot of things. But only time will tell. Now, this one is another one of those international stories that makes you go, huh? So we were just talking about the Chinese national who was stealing technology from America. Uzbek refugee found guilty of supporting terror group. Jurors on Thursday found a refugee from Uzbekistan guilty of conspiring to support a terrorist group with $300 he received from a friend and by making plans to join the organization himself. Thursday's verdict in a federal courtroom in Denver came more than 6 years after Jeshmed Mutarov's arrest at a Chicago airport. After a 3-week trial, jurors found Mutarov guilty of 3 charges: conspiring to provide $300 to the Islamic Jihad Union, providing or attempting to provide the $300, and providing or attempting to provide himself as support. Jurors also found Mutarov guilty on another charge of providing or attempting to provide communications technology to the terror group. Prosecutors described the Islamic Jihad Union as an extremist splinter group that opposes the Uzbek government and has been blamed for attacks there and in Afghanistan. So I just want this statement to sink in that they use here. Prosecutors describe the Islamic Jihad Union as an extremist splinter group. They're already Islamist and jihadist. How much more extreme and splinter group can you get? Sorry, that honestly really did surprise me. The case led to the U.S. Justice Department first disclosure that it intended to use information obtained through one of the National Security Agency's warrantless surveillance programs. Mutav's attorney challenged the constitutionality of the program before the trial, but Judge John Kane decided in 2015 that the program may have potential for abuse, but did not violate Mutarov's rights. Prosecutors argued that Mutarov, a former human rights worker who came to the Denver area in 2007 through a refugee resettlement program, we may be actually reusing this story later tonight, became frustrated with life in the U.S. He began emailing with terror groups through its website, and by 2012 told the FBI informant that he planned to join the group. I'm a fighter, they said. Again, we have foreign refugee resettlement program going on here in this country. An Uzbek refugee found guilty of supporting terror group. Right now, you're like, she's usually talking about stuff going on in other countries. I am still doing that. We're still talking about somebody from the country of Uzbekistan. And this is important, so that's why we're talking about it. So that's story number 3 for the night. So this one is kind of interesting. This is from Rio, vacation destination. Stray bullet kills 2 14-year-olds as Rio violence rises. 2 14-year-olds were killed by stray bullets in Rio de Janeiro. Violence and police efforts to contain it increase in the Brazilian city. Nearly 2 years after it hosted the Summer Olympics, Rio is experiencing a wave of violence as drug traffickers fight for control of territory. President Michel Temer put the military in charge of security in the state earlier this year. Shootouts remain common, and the non-governmental group Rio de Paz said Thursday that the deaths of 2 teens raised to at least 7 the number of children or adolescents killed by stray bullets this year. Marcos Vincilius de Silva was shot Wednesday during a police operation in the Mere Favale complex. His friends and classmates protested his death Thursday. Guilherme Enrique Piare Natal was also killed Wednesday by bullets fired from a passing car. De Silva's funeral was accompanied by about 40 of his relatives. Wouldn't that be attended? Anyway, sorry. And school friends, some of whom held his bloodstained white t-shirt that he was wearing when he was killed. The death of children killed by stray bullets is the most heinous face of violence in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Paz President Antonio Carlos Costa said in a statement. That's just sad that Rio is being so plagued by drug trafficking and violence that they now have kids being shot in the streets. It's really disheartening. It really, really is. All right, so we're up against another break. This is Jess's POV. Sorry, I just about said one of the other 4 shows that I do. I am Rick Robinson, sitting in for Jessica Sanders while she's on a road trip chasing down a story, and we'll be back with you here in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna.
Why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna.
All right, folks, welcome back. I am Rick Robinson. We are live right now on KLRradio.com. You are listening to Jessie's POV, and that's right, I am not Jessie. She'll be back with us. She's actually chasing a story, so she was unavailable last night and tonight, so I'm filling in for her tonight. We'll have a Jessie's Coffee Shop up tomorrow night, so hopefully by Monday things will go back to normal for her schedule. Hopefully she's done chasing down the story and everything else that she's got going on. But as far as that goes, so right now some of you are like, oh my god, at least the show's almost half over. I never have to listen to this guy again. Well, that is, of course, unless you're going to hang out for the rest of the night, because I'm on for 2.5 more hours pointing that out. All right, sorry. For those of you who haven't met me, hello, my name's Rick Robinson, and I'm a smart aleck by nature. Just saying. All right, so we have another interesting story that I wanted to make sure that we talked about tonight, because we are actually already over half done with the show. So this is actually a story from the South Sudan. South Sudan's armed opposition rejects imposition of peace. So South Sudan's armed opposition on Thursday rejected an imposition of a peace deal and asked for more time after the first face-to-face meeting with President Salva Kiir and rival Riek Machar in almost 2 years. In an opposition statement, they called Wednesday night's meeting cordial and said that two sides discussed the prospects for peace in broad terms. But it warned that the current model for the peace process is unrealistic and that there is no shortcut to peace. Kiir and Machar met in neighboring Ethiopia, whose Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed advised them and presided over discussions. South Sudan's 5-year civil war has continued despite multiple attempts at peace deals. Tens of thousands of people have died and millions have fled to create Africa's largest refugee crisis since the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Millions of others still in the country are near famine, while the warring sides have been blamed for obstructing or slowing the delivery of desperately needed aid. Kiir and Machar shook hands again Thursday as regional heads of state and government discussed the civil war. The East African Regional Bloc, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, has led several rounds of failed peace talks. It was not clear whether Kiir and Machar met privately Thursday. We cannot continue with business as usual, Ethiopia's prime minister told the gathering. If the different parties are unwilling and unable to halt the suffering of their people, we need to put them on notice that we are ready to act. The latest proposed peace agreement seeks to give the vice presidency to the opposition, but doesn't indicate Machar by name. South Sudan's Cabinet Affairs Minister Martin Elia Lomaro told the Associated Press, if we want a stable transition, then the best for us is for Reich not to participate in the government, but to bring his people to the table. But opposition spokesman Mabor Garang, who issued Thursday's statement, told the AP that a peace deal at the moment was not likely and that it wouldn't be a genuine agreement. So, for those of you who haven't been paying attention, this is actually a years-long civil war going on in the Sudan. There have been multiple attempts to bring these people to the table, make them understand that they have to find a way to get along with each other. Honestly, some of the refugees that we're dealing with right now here in this country are coming from this particular country, because this has been going on for a very, very long time. I am glad, and again, this is one of the things that I've been wanting to see, because what concerned me, and again, I'm going to take things national for just a second, but I promise I'll get off of it. What concerned me is over the last 8 years before now, we saw a president who adopted this philosophy of I'm going to lead from behind. For any of you that have ever led anything, you can't really do so from behind. So it didn't work. So we started having all these issues where people weren't really looking to us anymore for guidance, that we weren't the strong hand in the world trying to keep things on as even keel as possible. And one of the things that happened for the short term was things like this got blown well out of proportion, because Barack Obama was too interested in making sure that Iran got boatloads of cash instead of trying to do something about people that really, really needed his help. Now, I'm not an imperialist, and I'm also not a one-world government guy, but at the same time, you know, when you're watching this go on for decades and we're not doing anything, one of the things that I'm really, really glad that I'm finally starting to see, though, since we went so long without doing anything, is that their neighbors are finally stepping in and saying, look, this is the 21st damn century. You guys either start acting up or we're going to fix it for you. So I'll kind of be following this. I have been following it for a while, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up, because it's actually something I know a little bit about, because I don't usually do international stuff very often. But I will be really interested to see what happens with this, because this kind of seems a little bit like the Trump and Kim deal, where it could happen, it may not happen. If it does happen, are we sure it's going to be a legitimate agreement? Honestly, I think part of what's spurring this along is the fact that, we have Donald Trump trying to make world peace make peace in Korea. I'm not going to say world peace, but it'll be pretty close if it happens. I don't know if it will happen. Kim's come this close before and backed out. He's not an idiot, but I'll be interested to see what happens here because, again, this is something that's having a direct impact on us. Because remember, the world's economies are now intertwined, whether we like it or not. So anytime there's people that are starving or dying, it's going to impact us. It's one of the reasons why we as a country try to talk to everybody about what it means to be capitalist and a democratic republic instead of socialist democratic, democratic socialist, socialist or communist. Because our way of government actually works when you don't let it go nuts. It's been going nuts for quite some time. And again, not going to keep talking about it because I have a natural tendency to go towards national politics, but it's what I do, like 20 times a week, one way or the other. All right, so, also, I guess since I didn't mention it earlier, I am also occasionally on KOKC 1520 AM out of... probably should have mentioned that earlier. Probably should have led with that. No, I'm just playing. All right, so that is going to do it for this particular episode. This particular segment. We're going to get one more story and then we're going to take the last break. So this, to me, still counts as international because it involves Puerto Rico, one of our territories. But this caught my eye earlier, so I wanted to talk about it as well. Like I said, I don't get to talk about this stuff much on my shows. Legislators in Puerto Rico are challenging a federal control board overseeing the island's finances over a law that protects workers from unjust firings. Puerto Rico Senate President Thomas Rivera Schatz said Thursday that the majority of the legislators will not repeal the law as promised to the board, and they are prepared to go to court if needed. The board has said it will not eliminate a Christmas bonus or reduce sick and vacation days in exchange for having the law repealed in a bid to help Puerto Rico emerge from an 11-year-old recession. A spokesman from the board did not immediately return a message for comment. Governor Ricardo Rosello recently told the board his administration would repeal the law. He did not immediately comment on Schatz's announcement. So Puerto Rico's still a mess. So the reason I bring this up is because if you're paying attention here locally, you'll hear the media using Puerto Rico as a sounding board about how terrible things have been for them since the hurricanes and everything else, and how it's all, Congress's fault, Trump's fault, etc. Well, as you can see, Puerto Rico's been a mess for quite some time. The reason Puerto Rico is a mess is because there's been lots of mismanagement, lots of corruption. They've been in an 11-year recession, and before the hurricanes even happened, they were already having brownouts, but nobody talks about that part. So again, as usual, Puerto Rican government says they're going to do one thing, winds up doing something else. Somehow I'm not surprised. Just throwing that out there. Really, really not surprised. Now, this in from Iraq. Iraq set for election recount to salvage tainted result. And this is from June 20th. Actually, this is from today at 5:19 p.m. Eastern. Iraq's Supreme Court on Thursday upheld a disputed law ordering a hand recount of the ballots from last month's national elections after widespread allegations of fraud after widespread allegations of fraud embarrassed political leaders and marred the initial result. What was supposed to mark the start of a new era for Iraq has turned into a political crisis, as the charges of vote tampering grew too loud for the Prime Minister of Iraq to ignore. The May 12th election was the first since Iraq declared victory over the Islamic State group, which was in control of 1/3 of Iraqi territory just 3 years ago. But the euphoria over that milestone was quickly overshadowed by the charges of voter irregularities that surfaced on the day of the election and grew louder in the weeks that followed. Adding to the outcry was a suspicious... There's punctuation missing. It always makes it hard for me to read when there should be punctuation there and it's not. Adding to the outcry was a suspicious fire days after Parliament ordered the recount that burned down a warehouse believed to contain some of the ballots cast by Baghdad voters. The Interior Ministry said the June 10th blaze was confined to a storage unit holding the electronic machinery introduced in the election to speed up the vote count and protect against ballot stuffing. and insisted that the ballots were secure, but eyewitnesses' reports said some ballots were charred and others soaked as firefighters battled the blaze. A hand recount of the 11 million ballots could take weeks, if not longer, and promises to delay the already sluggish process of forming a new government. Still, the populist preacher, Muqtada al-Sadr, who came in a surprise first place in the vote, called on his supporters to respect the recount ruling. I call on everyone to show restraint and deference to the law, even if they are not convinced by it, al-Sadr said in a statement. Thursday's Supreme Court decision upheld a law ordering a recount passed by Parliament after the initial results showed that 2/3 of current lawmakers would lose their seats. The timing of the law's passage led President Fahad Massam and the National Elections Commission to charge lawmakers with political interference. But the Supreme Court ruled that the legislation was broadly constitutional and endorsed an order to replace the Independent Election Commission with a panel of 9 judges to supervise the recount. The commission, disputing the fraud allegations, had refused to conduct one of its own. However, the court rejected a measure invalidating all ballots cast abroad and by Iraqis displaced by recent conflict. Chief Justice Mahat al-Mahad said that sweeping measure was unjust to voters who cast legitimate ballots. An estimated 3 million Iraqis live in displaced persons camps, and international groups urged authorities to take measures to ensure they could vote. Many were driven from their homes during battles against Islamic State group and were presumed to be overwhelmingly Sunni, reinforcing the perception that they are being marginalized by the Shiite-dominated government in Baghdad. Still, a hand recount is unlikely to dispel the fraud allegations. Okay, so we're not going to keep reading that because this thing just keeps going and going and going and going. So, just wanted to give you an idea of, they're talking about election issues here. Apparently there are election issues everywhere. Just saying. So I guess that's the new thing. You don't like the results, you start screaming fraud. You scream loud enough, people do a recount. Lucky for us, there's no such engine for that here. Sorry, trying not to take things locally, but like I said, bad habit. I talk local most of the time. Alright, so we've got one last break. This is Rick Robinson sitting in for Jessie from Jessie's POV. We're live right now on KLRN Radio. We'll be back here in just about 2 minutes.
You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Totally
Hi, welcome back. Sorry, I was kind of jamming out to Jess's bumper music. I am Rick Robinson. Lucky for you, the mute button was on. I am Rick Robinson. We're live right now on KLRadio.com. We're actually coming to the end of the first broadcast hour of my 3-hour marathon. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show so far. Got a couple other things to talk about. I know those of you that love Jess, I promise she will be back soon. You only have to put up with me tonight. And after she listens to the replay, she'll probably be like, I don't care if you are the programming director, you're never doing my show again. I'm like, fine, I hate international politics. Anyway, not really. I really kind of love all. My wife says the same thing. She's like, I don't know how you, because like I'm like constantly editing videos for people. I've got several different several different full-time jobs going on, running simultaneously. And my wife's like, I don't know how you do all this crap, because I turn on the news for 30 seconds and it kind of keeps me going nuts. And honestly, what I tried to explain to her, just like I've explained to everybody else, this is actually how I stay sane, because if I didn't have an outlet to talk about it, I probably would go nuts. So this one, again, international, but ties into what's going on around the world and everywhere else. Mexico Central Bank raises key interest rate to 7.75%. Mexico's central bank has decided to raise its key interbank interest rate to 7.75% from 7.5%. So a 0.25% increase. So Mexico's central bank is basically doing the same thing our Fed just did. They raised their interest rate by 0.25% as well. So, I hate to bring this up because, I'm not a banker, so I don't know if there are rules against it. But why isn't it that, we have all this money that we're investing in places and putting in banks and things, right, as a government. And right now we have like almost no interest available on our stuff. So why aren't we putting money into banks that have higher interest rates so we can kind of just let it sit there for a while? I'm just an everyday American, so I'm not trying to say, hey, break the law, because I don't know if it's illegal or not. But I've really kind of thought about, as some of this stuff becomes more and more lucrative for me, knocking on wood that it continues to do that, if I maybe shouldn't be getting accounts in other countries with higher interest rates. Just saying. I'm sure there's probably some sort of rule about that. I'll probably wind up going to some club fed prison, but who knows. The bank cited uncertainty around negotiations on the North American Free Trade Agreement and Mexico's upcoming July 1st elections. The peso closed slightly stronger Thursday before the announcement at 20.25 pesos to $1 American dollar. 20 pesos and 25 cents to $1 American dollar, and that's slightly stronger? I remember the exchange rate being less than that last time I went to Mexico, but it has been a while. The Bank of Mexico said inflation decreased slightly in May to an annual rate of 4.51%. It was 4.55% in April. I don't know. I mean, what irritates me about Mexico, honestly, is they're turning a blind eye to all the people that they're letting sneak through their country to come up here. And I know I promised Jess I would keep it international as much as possible, so I'm going to stop talking American politics now. This sounds completely Japanese, and will probably be the perfect show for us, or perfect segment for us to end the show on. Japanese worker docked for starting lunch 3 minutes early. Officials in the western Japanese city of Kobe made a public apology on Thursday to a municipal employee for docking his pay after he took his lunch break 3 minutes early. It is very regrettable. I should probably do that in a Japanese accent. It is very regrettable that this misconduct has happened. We are very sorry, a city official said at press conference according to local media. Yet it apparently wasn't a one-time infraction. The unnamed 64-year-old employee allegedly slipped out early 26 times over 7 months. Traditionally, Japanese workers have logged particularly long hours at their jobs, leading to a national debate about work-life balance. Prior to this incident, officials have been pushing for a new bill that would improve work-life balance among citizens. This is what happens when you live in a nanny state. Now the government is going to start telling you that you need to work on your work-life balance. Japan, what are you doing? One component of the bill would set a cap on the amount of overtime hours an employee can work a month, according to Japanese media. So, just to recap, because I know most of you don't keep up with Japanese news stories, Japan has the largest aging population, pretty much lowest number of millennials. They have now started introducing robots to allow the aged Japanese population to have some sort of companionship because they're not having children anymore. And they've now started policies to regulate the amount of overtime people can work and to dock them randomly when they go to lunch a little bit early. I don't know. Kind of glad I don't live in Japan. Just saying. All right, so believe it or not, that is pretty much going to do it for this particular episode of almost said the other show, of Jess's POV. Again, Jess should be back with you guys hopefully on Monday. Things should be back to normal by then, as far as I understand. We will have a fresh coffee shop episode up for tomorrow night. Stay tuned, because here in just a minute, I will be joined by one of my co-hosts, the lovely, the ever beautiful, and the always intelligent Miss Jen Olmstead. She makes me look smart. She also makes me look ugly, but that's a story for another day. Of course, then again, if you've seen my face, I do that well enough on my own. So that, again, is going to pretty much do it for this particular episode. If you like what you heard here, you probably need to seek professional help. But if you did, feel free to follow along on Twitter at Radio Host Rick. You can find me there. You can also find me on the Facebooks on my professional page. Just search Rick Robinson. Look for the one that says Kung Fu, or has Kung Fu Rick Robinson in the profile. Has the cute little looking Japanese samurai dude. You can thank Stacy Lennox for the picture. I still have that as my Avi on pretty much every account right now. It will probably stay that way for a while, because I'm doing everybody a favor and not showing you pictures of my face. Just saying. Alright, so we're going to get out of here for the moment. I will be back with you here in just about a minute or so to start the commercials, so then we can get started for Jen and Rick. Sitting in for Jessica Sanders, again, I am Rick Robinson, Programming Director, KLRNradio.com, host of America Off the Rails, co-host of Jen and Rick on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and also Robinson and Wright on Friday nights, producer for the Conservative Robinson Radio Show, producer for FUBAR from the Spark Radio Network, producer for the Loftus Channel, the Loftus Channels, the Loftus Party Podcast, and also producer for Jesse's Coffee Shop. My name's Rick. I'm a workaholic. It's been forever since my last meeting. So we're out. We'll see you guys in a minute for Jen and Rick. Stay tuned.
You can lay down if you wanna.